"Daddy, please help her." Those were the words that froze the entire parking lot. A small voice. Shaking. Desperate. 5 grown men laughed as if nothing in the world could touch them. They had no idea the quiet man standing 10 feet away, holding a grocery bag and wearing a faded hoodie, was a former Navy SEAL who had survived missions no one would ever hear about. They didn't know the woman on the ground was more than just a stranger, and they definitely didn't know that in less than 3 minutes, every one of them would be on the ground, defeated, just before a Marine general stepped out of a black SUV and changed all their lives forever. Stay with this story, because what happens next will remind you why courage, fatherhood, and honor still matter in this world. Ethan Walker never planned to be a hero again. After 20 years in the shadows of special operations, he had learned one painful truth: heroes don't always make it home, and when they do, they rarely recognize themselves. He lived quietly now, in a modest coastal town, raising his 8-year-old daughter Lily alone. Her mother had passed 3 years earlier, taken by a sickness that arrived fast and left nothing but silence behind. Since then, Ethan's entire universe had narrowed to school drop-offs, late-night homework, and pretending he didn't still wake up at 3 a.m. hearing helicopters that weren't there. That afternoon was supposed to be ordinary. Ethan and Lily were returning from the grocery store. Lily skipped beside him, humming, clutching a small stuffed dolphin he had bought her as a surprise. The sun was high, the air calm, and for once, Ethan's mind wasn't scanning rooftops or exits. Then Lily stopped walking, her hand tightened around his. "Daddy, please help her." Ethan followed her gaze. Near the edge of the parking lot, a young woman lay on the ground beside a car, shielding her face. 5 men surrounded her. They weren't yelling. That was what made it worse. Their voices were low, mocking, relaxed. One of them nudged her bag away with his foot. Another blocked anyone who tried to pass. Ethan felt the old switch flip inside his chest, the one he had sworn never to turn on again. He looked down at Lily. Her eyes were wide. Afraid. But also trusting. Completely trusting. He knelt, set the grocery bag down, and met her gaze. "Sweetheart," he said calmly, "stand right here. Don't move. No matter what happens." "Are you going to hurt them?" she whispered. Ethan shook his head. "No. I'm going to stop them." He stood and walked forward. "Hey," he said, voice steady but firm. "That's enough. Step away from her." The men turned, surprised, then amused. 1 laughed. "Mind your business, old man." Ethan sighed softly. He had hoped they'd walk away. The first punch came fast, aimed at his jaw. It never landed. In less than 30 seconds, the parking lot erupted into chaos. Ethan moved with precision burned into muscle memory. A wrist snapped free. A knee buckled. A choke applied just long enough. He didn't rage. He didn't shout. He ended the fight the way he had ended hundreds before, efficiently, cleanly, decisively. 5 men went down. 1 by 1. Silence followed. Ethan stepped back, breathing controlled, scanning out of habit. That was when he heard slow applause behind him. A black SUV had pulled in unnoticed, the door opened, and a Marine general stepped out. General Marcus Hale was not a man who clapped often. He had commanded thousands. He had written letters to families that still haunted him. He knew violence when he saw it, and he knew restraint even better. "Walker," the general said. Ethan stiffened. It had been years since anyone had called him that. "Yes, sir," Ethan replied instinctively. The surrounding crowd murmured. Phones were raised. The defeated men groaned on the ground. The general looked past Ethan, kneeling beside the shaken woman, gently offering his jacket. "You all right, ma'am?" the general asked. She nodded, tears streaming. "He saved me." The general stood and turned back to Ethan. "You always did have a habit of being in the right place at the worst possible time." Ethan swallowed. "I didn't want my daughter to see this." The general glanced toward Lily, who stood frozen but safe, watching her father like she was seeing him for the first time. "She didn't see violence," the general said quietly. "She saw courage." Police sirens approached. Statements were taken. Witnesses spoke. The truth came out quickly. The 5 men were arrested. The woman was safe. Before leaving, the general crouched in front of Lily. "You know," he said gently, "your dad is a very brave man." Lily nodded. "I know." That night, Ethan tucked Lily into bed. "Daddy," she asked softly, "are you a hero?" Ethan paused. "No," he said after a moment. "I'm just your dad." She smiled, already drifting to sleep. But as Ethan sat in the dark, He understood something he hadn't before. Being a hero wasn't about the uniform he no longer wore. It wasn't about defeating 5 men or impressing a general. It was about standing up when your child asks you to. It was about choosing courage when silence would be easier, and sometimes, the greatest missions don't happen on foreign soil. They happen in parking lots, with a small hand holding yours, trusting you to do what's right.